Hello everyone, welcome to this series on the Prologue to The Wife of Bath from Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. And in this video we are going to discuss her strength, vitality and aggression which make her a threatening presence in the prologue. So let's start. Chaucer's Wife of Bath is portrayed as a formidable character in the Canterbury Tales, embodying strength, vitality and aggression that make her a compelling and, to some, a threatening figure. Her assertive attitude, directness about sexuality, and challenge to religious and societal norms make her one of the most dynamic and controversial figures in the prologue. Here are several reasons why she exudes a threatening presence. Her defiance of patriarchal authority. The wife of Bath openly defies the traditional authority of men and religious teachings by challenging their interpretation of marriage, sexuality, and women's roles. She is unapologetically outspoken about her experiences and does not shy away from criticizing male-dominated religious doctrines. She counters the authority of scholars and clergy with her own experience, setting up her life's experiences as equal to auctority or authority of scholarly knowledge. This self-validation threatens patriarchal control, as she insists on the validity of a woman's lived experiences over male textual authority. Unconventional views on marriage and sexuality. The wife's approach to marriage is practical and unapologetic, celebrating sexuality and viewing it as an asset rather than a source of shame. She's had 5 husbands and is willing to remarry, asserting, "Welcome to 6th, what that ever he shall." Line 45. Her candor about sexual pleasure, her expectation of marital debt, and her enjoyment of physical relationships run counter to the period's ideals of female chastity and submissiveness. By openly discussing her marriages and the woe that is in marriage, line 3, she destabilizes the idealized notion of marriage as sacred and controlled by male authority, making her presence challenging and provocative. Bold use of religious justification. The wife uses scriptural references to justify her actions, but in ways that diverge from typical religious interpretations. She cites examples like King Solomon's many wives and Paul's teachings on marital debt, manipulating religious texts to support her lifestyle choices. By doing so, she demonstrates a deep understanding of the scriptures but refuses to conform to traditional readings, positioning herself as an interpreter of religion. This unconventional approach challenges the religious authority of the church, making her appear rebellious and potentially dangerous to the clerical status quo. Assertion of female agency and control. The wife is unafraid to declare her own dominance in marriage. She speaks of her husbands as "my debtor and my thrall," line 155, demanding they fulfill their obligations to her rather than the other way around. Her desire for control over her body, property, and even her husband's behavior positions her as an autonomous figure who resists the subservience typically expected of women. This agency and command over her marital life make her a potentially intimidating presence to those who believe women should be passive. Physical and sexual aggressiveness. Her physical vitality and openness about her desires are qualities traditionally associated with male characters, making her present even more subversive. The wife of Bath's vivid descriptions of her youthful energy and assertiveness in bed, where she describes the first night with her husbands as "Myri," line 42, assert her sexual agency. She treats marriage as both a source of pleasure and a domain in which she exercises power, undermining the male dominance expected in such relationships. Her unabashed enjoyment of her sexuality makes her presence bold and even intimidating, particularly in a culture that viewed women's sexuality as something to be controlled. Challenging male stereotypes and resentment toward women. Throughout her prologue, the wife of Bath mocks the stereotypes of women perpetuated by clerical writings. She discusses men's complaints about wives and dismisses their criticisms with wit and irony, suggesting they stem from male insecurity rather than truth. For instance, she points out that men have always found ways to criticize women, saying that no man wole his thanks held. Line 272. Her mockery of these stereotypes and her unwillingness to be molded by them are threatening to masculine ego, as she rejects male criticism and refuses to accept the judgments of society. Subversion of virginity and saintly ideals. The wife dismisses the notion that virginity is a superior state, arguing instead that both virginity and marriage are valid. She refers to herself as barely bred, in contrast to the wheat seed of virgins, valuing her marital life as meaningful and fulfilling in its own right. Line 145. This comparison undermines the ideal of virginity and casts it as unrealistic or even unworthy of most people, challenging the religious ideal of women as pure, chaste and submissive. Her self-acceptance and pride in her marital role unsettle religious expectations, presenting a robust alternative to celibacy. Her refusal to feel guilt or shame. The wife of Bath expresses no shame for her marriages, sexual experiences, or her multiple husbands. She states, "I will not keep me chaste in all." Line 46, making it clear that she has no intention of living up to others' moral expectations. This unapologetic approach is highly subversive and intimidates those who attempt to enforce moral restraint. Her confidence in her own choices threatens those who rely on societal norms to maintain order and control, as her lack of guilt implies a rejection of social pressure and expectations. Conclusion. The wife of Bath's threatening presence in the prologue comes from her audacious challenge to social and religious norms. Her assertiveness, physical vitality, and unconventional views on marriage and sexuality position her as a character of strength, courage, and defiance. By rejecting the standards of chastity, obedience, and submissiveness, she subverts the patriarchal order and represents a powerful form of female agency that would have been both shocking and unsettling to Chaucer's audience. Her refusal to accept traditional constraints makes her one of the most compelling, bold, and potentially intimidating characters in Canterbury Tales. So this was the discussion on the great strength, vitality, and aggression of the wife of Bath, which makes her a threatening presence in the prologue to the Canterbury Tales. We will meet in the next video and discuss some other part of her character. Until then, goodbye and thank you.